Well guys, thanks for joining me on this video, and I want you just to all listen. Nothing at all. A few birds. And that's probably what you're going to hear when you've lost yourself in a wilderness or mountain survival situation. Nothing. No people. Nothing. And this now will be where the panic sets in. You start to panic. We need to try and control ourselves a little bit. So the best thing we can do is have a drink. So we stop. We need to stop at this point. And I realise now that I am actually lost. So I'm going to have a drink. This drink's doing quite a lot for us, and we just don't know it. But one, it's calming us. Two, it's stopping us from getting dehydrated. When the body is dehydrated, your brain shrinks. Moisture is coming out of your body fast. You haven't got nothing left. The brain is shrinking, which will make us make bad decisions in this situation. And we don't want to make bad decisions. We want to make the right decisions, because the decisions that we make now will be the outcome of your situation that you are in. So we have a drink, a warming drink. Of course, if it's raining, we need to find shelter at this point. A natural shelter in under a tree, under a holly bush, in the mountain ranges, and in the woodlands in situations. There's plenty of natural shelters we can tuck ourselves into. We don't want to be getting any more exposed to any elementary weather fronts that are coming in. So what we do is we stop, we have a cup of tea, we realise we're lost, and if we had a whistle at this stage, we could blow our whistle as loud as we can. Hopefully somebody on the track or trail, which is probably that way, I know I walked that way and now I don't know where I am, I can blow that whistle and hopefully somebody will pick up on it, and maybe a shout or a cry for help, somebody will come. But let's not waste calories on that at the minute, because we've got an arsenal of stuff in our backpacks if we'd packed it right before we left. And that's what I'm going to look at. So what we've got in our pack, and I'll just show you a couple of items that could be a real game changer in this situation. The ground around me is absolutely soaking wet, and I don't want to get wet. I want to try and stay as dry as I can. The clothing that I'm wearing is quite warm clothing, and you can see I'm wearing my hat. My trousers are quick dry mountain trousers, so all of a sudden I've put myself in quite a good situation. I've got a level of protection on my body that's working. I'm not out in jeans and a t-shirt. Them jeans and t-shirt are often cases that end up becoming a 411 missing case, unfortunately. Having the right equipment can really make a survival situation turn into not too bad a situation, as long as you know how to use your equipment right. So I always carry a head torch. This will last me kind of 3 camping trips, so I know it's good for 3 nights. You want one with a long battery life. This is concealed battery and can be charged off my battery bank that I use for my phone. I always carry a spare battery bank fully charged. So I can charge this, and obviously I've got a way of signalling at night, I've got a way of moving around at night. Don't go for one of these kind of super bright headlights, you know, kind of 1,000,000 candle power, because they're not going to last you long enough. 30 minutes just ain't going to cut it. This thing is super bright and lasts me for near on 3 nights. Use that. What else have we got? Hand sanitizer. This can be used as a fire starter, but it also can be used for hygiene in the field. A cut on the hand easily becomes infected out here, and I don't want to make my situation worse. My immune system at this point is pretty good, and I want to keep it that way. I don't want to have to be fighting infections, because the more, when I start intaking less food, my immune system and things like that, unfortunately, don't run at peak performances. So hand sanitizer, a fire starter too. A packet of wet wipes. There you are. Everyone needs to go to the bathroom, and we've got a packet of these. But more importantly, wet wipes are white, and these hung up on trees all around the forest where you are lost is a great way for search and rescue to find you. So the minute you know you're lost, start putting a few of these out around the trees. And if you're going to move from that area, at least it gives some guidance to where you've been. And of course, if you come back to these in the woods, you know you're probably going around in bloody circles. They can also be used for obviously cleansing. These are the face wipes. They can be used for cleansing your face, keeping yourself in tip-top condition. They also contain moisture, so you can put them on your lips. They make you think like you're having a drink at this stage. And of course, they can be used as a filter. Spread over a container if you're lucky enough to find a tin can, and you can filter water through that. Now, it won't get all the bacteria out, but what it will do is get a lot of debris out. That's mud. Normally you find you'll get pulled up in your water when you start filling from ditches like that. What else have I got? Well, I've been carrying this. This is the BCB Dragon Fuel. It's a great way of starting a fire. I've used a lot of it during testing. It's great stuff, fantastic. No, not everyone would carry that. I've just got that in my pack, and what it does is ensure that I can have a fire even in the wettest of conditions. Of course, the mountain survival tin, if you like, the BCB one, and we're going to open this up and we'll have a look at the contents of this. BCB are a company that have been making survival tins for years. I had one of these when I was a kid growing up, some 20 odd years ago. We'll have a look at the contents. We'll see whether they're worth their weight in gold and whether it's worth carrying just that and whether that is enough. And I assure you there's a lot of content in there that is worthwhile. I've been carrying that for some time. Chocolate. We need chocolate, and a bar of chocolate makes the world right. In my main compartment of my bag, this is what I'm carrying. It's only a day sack, but in the main compartment of this bag, I then carry some spare food. And one of these. These are great. These are like bandanas, scarves. They come in all shapes and sizes. This one's fantastic. It can be used as a complete head wraparound, if you like, but it also can be used as a towel for drying myself off with if my body gets soaking wet during bad rain. They dry really quickly. They can also be used for filtering water, once again, but more importantly, they make a great addition to keeping yourself warm and stopping cold air penetrating your clothing, especially around your neck area. I carry one of these jackets. These jackets are super portable. They fold up really small, and it's a down jacket, and it just sits in the back pouch of my bag, and it just gives me an extra layer when I need it. Now, what I would do is not wear it on the outside. I'd actually put that layer right next to my body, and then I'd put my jumper over the top. Down when it gets wet, it can be a real pain. In fact, it loses a lot of its heating properties. But down real close to the body, put that on first, then that on. You've got that leather of feathers right next to your skin, which is where you want it, keeping that heat in. The jacket will work a hell of a lot more effective there. Spare cordage I've got in my bag, and you see how this was set up. This is set up like a dog lead, if you like. And what this does is it gives me a loop on one end and a loop on another end, and I immediately can ways of carrying massive firewood if I want to, repairing clothing if I need to. 7 strands inside this, and each strand can be used as a snare, if you like. But more importantly, it will be used for cordage for building some kind of shelter if I need it to, or securing equipment to me, because there's equipment that I want to keep on my person at this time now, because the situation I'm in now isn't that day hike that I was in or enjoying the mountain ranges in the old state parks. Now I've become in a survival situation. The more I carry on my body, the better, really. And of course, a knife. There's just a plain old Swiss Army knife, if you like. This is the Army model, particularly good. It's got lots of options on it, and it gives you that sawing option. There's the saw on it. They make great fire sparkers for your ferrocerium rod, if you like. Tin openers and all types of gadgets on there, and we'll look more into one of these later on. That's great. But that can also be backed off with a small pocket knife if shared you want a small pocket knife on you. Either option really is equally as good, as long as you've got quite a good cutting tool, because you are going to need that at some point. So that's the content of my bag. We'll have a look at the BCB survival tin and how it could help us out in a survival situation. All of a sudden, this survival situation that I'm in, I've got my tea and I've got a backpack full of gear that's multi-purpose use. All of a sudden, my situation is in my favour and I'm feeling quite confident now. And of course, I've always got my phone to rely on, and I carry the battery bank, so if my phone was dead at this time, I could check the signal to see whether I can actually get a signal to get help. Don't turn off your phone if you're in a wilderness survival situation. Try and keep your phone charged. There are means and ways of tracking people as long as their phone is on, so it's quite interesting. Let's carry on up through the woods. I want to have a look around, and we'll stop off and we'll have a look at the BCB mountain survival tin and its content and how they can help us out at the stage we're at. So yeah, let's have a little look at these BCB components that I carry in my pack. Wherever I am, I day hike, walk hike, or I'm overnight camping, I always carry this mountain survival tin. I've had this out and looked at the contents. I really like it a lot. I wanted to do a video showing you all the contents and how to use them. And I will try and get hold of another tin to be able to do that, to show you how to optimise what's in here. But we'll talk about the contents of what I've got. These are the BCB windproof, waterproof matches, the perfect match if you like. And these things are really handy. Many ways of striking it. There's all types of areas, even one on the rim there where you can strike it. This is a waterproof container, which is really handy because we don't want to get these wet if we can help it. Although you can dry matches out. You just attach them to your bag and leave them, and they will dry out naturally if they do get soaking wet. All matches will dry. Like I say, your molly attachment, if you're lucky enough to have molly attachment on your day pack, put them in there, lay them out in the sun, and they will dry out. These are strike anywhere matches, pretty well much. I say strike anywhere, you can strike them on different surfaces, but you are better off using the surfaces that are provided on these matches, to be fair. And we just strike it across the match, and there you go. They burn for quite some time. They give you this intense heat. They are windproof, waterproof. You can see that it will keep burning. It does give off a huge volume of smoke. Like I say, don't be using these inside your shelters or inside your tents. They work really well. They burn really hot, but the smoke down through the woods is unbelievable. Absolutely fantastic. Must have in your backpack. They weigh nothing. Must have in any pack that you have. Especially most people that smoke will have a lighter on them. People that don't smoke often don't carry any form of light on them at all. In fact, I watched a video the other night where a well-known YouTuber went out for a camp and she'd forgot her lighting equipment, and it was in minus temperatures, so she decided to abandon her camp. You know, had she have kept her mountain survival tin or that in, that would have quite easily then used that, because these tins don't have to be used just in a survival situation. They can be a great companion on any of your camping trips. But remember, if you use anything, to replace it. And that's the key thing on any of our equipment. If it's used, damaged, make sure you replace it. Don't try and make it go another trip. Before we go out, we want all of our equipment in peak conditions. Let's have a look at the content of this. All of a sudden we get this tape. It's really handy. That's what seals the tape. I've got to be careful because the fog's coming in on me now, and I've got to try and navigate off this mountain. This tape here is really handy. It will burn, but it's also great for wounds, so we can fix that as a plaster if we like. And it also burns really good. In fact, the last time I end up using my tape like that, on my other survival tin, I'd actually made a huge mistake with my bushcraft knife, and I cut the top of my finger quite bad. Not enough where I needed stitches, but where I needed to get it sealed pretty quickly because it was bleeding quite a lot. A very silly mistake by me. They do give you a breakdown of a lot of the contents inside there. on the front of the tin. The tin itself is an item. All of a sudden, you can use this tin for cooking and boiling water in. So the first thing out, once again, matches. Matches are key up here, or a way of making a fire. And fire does 5 things for us in a survival situation. And when you understand what them 5 things are, you appreciate how that one skill is a real game changer in a wilderness survival situation, or in any situation we're in. So what are them 5 things? Well, it gives us heat, and we need heat. And we need a lot of heat, especially in a situation where now out in the elements, we need some form of heat. Fire will do that for us. It allows us to boil water, making water safe to drink. We can cook our food on it, so it gives us a way of cooking food. It gives us a sense of well-being, gives us light at night, and it casts away them dark shadows. All of a sudden, a fire gives us a sense of well-being of where we are. And of course, it can be used for signalling. Fire in a triangle format, 3 points, gives us an international rescue sign that we are lost and we need help. If not, one fire, and if you see a plane, stick a load of green stuff on it and you'll get plumes of smoke. All of a sudden, search teams will come looking for you. So fire, 5 things from one action in a situation where we're in a survival situation is unbelievable. And I can't get through that enough to my students, that fire is one of the key skills that you should be practicing in all weathers. And whenever you get any spare time, even if you're out in the garden, you've got a fire pit there, practice fire lighting. They give you this small knife, made in China. Not too bad, no blade play on it. I'm liking it so far. I can't find any faults with it. Normally, because I'm a knife guy, I find a lot of faults with these knives, and I actually like this knife. You know, it seems pretty good. So much so that it may even spark our ferrocerium rod later on. We'll try it. What's it like on a bit of cordage? Let's try and find a bit of cordage. We've got some cordage here. Yeah. Partly serrated. No problems there at all. Works pretty good. I like it. That'll be the first for me on this channel. You've seen it. I normally hate this type of knife, but actually that for me is quite good. Really comfortable to use too. I like that. It's just a shame it's not left-handed. Buck up, BCB. Right-handed opening. Ugh. Come on. So, yeah, let's have a look. What else have we got? Condoms. Everyone knows what these are for. No, not that. They're for collecting water. These can hold up to a litre of water, they say. I always seem to struggle to fill these up. Uh-oh, this conversation's going the wrong way. But you can fill these with water, put it inside a sock, and I wouldn't recommend taking off your socks in a situation where you're in a survival situation. You want to keep your bloody feet wear on and your socks. But what that does allow us to do is collect water, and you get 2 of them. But to go along with that, you get water purification tablets. So ditch one of them inside that, and all of a sudden, we got water that's safe to drink. Yeah, you can go 3 days without water. Now all of a sudden, we got plenty of it. We're laughing. The one that I have used out of my tin was some plasters. Plasters are really handy. Cuts, blisters, things like that. Bloody hurt when you're out in the field, and the last thing we want is to promote any infections. So get it covered. As soon as you know you've got an injury, deal with it there and then. Don't let it prolong. Don't leave it longer than it needs to be. You get your signal mirror. These work great if you're in a country where you get any sun. And of course today I'm in mist and fog, so this signal mirror is pretty useless. Although what I can do is use it as a reflector for a candle or a bush light that I make. It gives me a way of giving me a torch out in the woods, if you like. So I can use that, and you can see it's quite flexy. So I can flex that on a branch, and I'll show you how to make one of these. When I get another tin, I'll show you how to optimize your reflectors. I'm going to put them back in the tin because I don't want my water purification tablets getting wet. These pot grabbers, they're for the tin. Obviously, we can boil water, cook food with it. It's a way of getting it off the heat if we need to. Really handy. They've thought of everything. They've given you the grabs. There they are. You've got 2 grabs there. Perfect. Then you get your sealed bag, if you like. Inside this sealed bag, already we've got a nice watertight sealed bag. So if our tin does get soaking wet, our content isn't. Cotton wool, we can use that for starting a fire with. Of course, I'd add some of that BCB fire gel or some of that hand sanitizer in my bag, and it'll make that last a lot longer. But this tinder's very fine and it's very easy, takes a spark. So all of a sudden, we've got a real easy way of making a fire. Some cordage there for shelter building, or obviously repairing equipment, or snares, traps. And of course, going on to traps, they give you the brass wire. I love this brass fucking wire. It's just great stuff. You can make up kind of a couple of rabbit snares with it if you need to. Last of our worries in this early stage of our situation. But the quicker we get a trap line up and running, the better it is for us. The candle, one of my favourites. This should be in everyone's bag. These candles do work well. They're just a tea light candle. And what this does, it can be used at night to give us some light if we want it. And it can be used in conjunction with our reflector. Like I said to you earlier on, when I light this, I use that as a reflector of my candle, pushing light back into me. So I'm not wasting the light. It also can be used if you are really struggling to get a fire going. You can light this candle and we can use that then inside our light bundles of tinder to get our fire going. And they work really well for that. And it's one of my favourite methods of getting a fire going in really wet conditions, especially up here in Wales. These tea light candles, I normally carry a couple of, or half a dozen of them really, in my pack. You can buy a whole bag for £1. They work really well. And it was great to see that they're still adding that to their survival tins. And of course, the wax off that can be used to maintain our equipment, especially our knives. A couple of cable ties, they're always handy, especially for tying off your water collection, your condoms. When you've collected your water, tighten them up. It gives you a way of containing it and you're not trying to juggle water around everywhere. An emergency light, there you are. It's not super bright, but it's enough. What you normally do with that is clip it onto your zipper, keep it on your person, and you've got a light then wherever you need it to be, especially for kind of map reading or navigation. They work really well. And additionally, I think you should probably buy one of them and just put it on your zipper anyway. A fishing kit. You're not going to be catching sharks with this, but you will catch a few small trout. There's a few hooks in there, all types of weird and wonderful gadgets in there. Fishing line, always handy. And these fish kits do work really well. Get yourself a tin or a stick, wrap the tin around, set yourself up a line, chuck it out, and away you go. You can start fishing, get yourself a bit of bait. Simple as that. Safety pins, they're always handy, especially if you're still in nappies. They're good for tying off your nappies, but they are good for repairing kit and attaching kit to you if you need to. I use them probably more for digging out splinters out my hands, especially when I'm teaching courses. You get this tube, which is really handy for water collection, all types of other stuff. These tubes are pretty handy. A sewing kit. Why would you put a sewing kit in your mountain survival tin? Unfortunately, clothing takes a massive wear and tear, if you like, especially in this situation. And it allows us to keep our stuff in tip-top condition. And if we really had to and we got a nasty cut, we can quite easily put a stitch in our hand just to close up a wound. It's going to look pretty rough and it's going to be pretty painful, but it's better than bleeding to death, and that's what that can be used for. But mostly repairing kit. Like I say, this doesn't have to be used just in a survival situation, especially when you walk in the mountains, you're up middle of Snowdonia or somewhere like that, or out Fort William or whatever, or in a state park and you rip your clothes. It's nice to know you've got some way of repairing it on the trail, and there you are. I use this on extended camps, and I have used one before to repair some kit. A pencil for writing down information. There it is. Remember, a blunt pencil's better than a sharp mind, if you like, in any situation. It's a great form, a way of writing stuff down, information that you come across. They do give you this handy card that you can have, a survey card. It probably won't show up on the camera because it's really bright. I'm trying to get the light in there. You can see that. It gives you all types of information on there, even some survival instructions. If anything, it's a quite in-depth card. You can see that. Quite an in-depth card there on everything you've got. And if anything, you've got some bloody good fire tinder if you need it when you want to make a fire. 2 razor blades. They're really sharp. They work exceptionally well if you want that extra details. There they are. I kind of like these a lot. They do work really well, really sharp, really good, especially for processing game with. That's what you would use them the most for. The whistle, the famous whistle. Every survival kit must have a whistle in it. Works really well. I hope nobody comes. Probably not. I'm in the middle of nowhere. But these whistles work exceptionally well. These are really loud, and BCB have always done a good emergency survival whistle, and fair play to them. 3 of them, international sign for rescue. People will come looking to see if you're all right. Hopefully, if there's people in the area. And of course, you use less calories burning the whistle than you do shouting and crying for help. You get the commando saw and no survival tin, really. The British love these things. The British Army love these things. They are the commando saw, if you like. And they're great for processing woods and all types of other weird and wonderful stuff. There's that. They work really well for that. Of course, no survival kit would be complete without a ferrocerium rod. This one does work well. The BCB, they've done the nice engrave. I like the new design on this. Button compass, I have checked the compass out, and it is pretty damn accurate, to be honest with you. It's one of the best ones I've actually used. So it does work really, really well. This will strike, obviously. We don't like that striker much. We get some flames off it. There you are. But you're always better off using the back edge of your knife there. Look at the difference. No problems with that at all. Really good. I wanted to try this little thing to see whether it would throw a spark. Not as good. Needs a 90-degree on it. But there you are. I do like these ferrocerium rods. They do work well. I'm not so keen on these strikers that you get with it. Oh, there we are. But they do work. But like I say, you won't beat the back edge of your knife. That lines up the content of this kit. What a fantastic kit, and you get so much in here. BCB, I take my hat off to you. You're still making some of the best survival tins there are on the market today, in my opinion. And if any of my students look at that, that all of a sudden buys you a long time in a wilderness survival situation. And remember, you don't have to be military trained to use one of these kits. They are available to the general public. What a fantastic kit. Would I? And that's why I carry that inside my pack. Because all of a sudden, my survival situation, now I've got a lot of content in a small tin. My survival situation has really improved. I feel confident already. The mist and fog's coming down on this mountain now, and it's coming in quite harsh. I'm going to have a look around in a minute. I'll take you with me on that. But BCB, like I say, you can't go wrong with one of their survival tins. They pretty well much think of everything for you. So yeah, that is the BCB mountain survival tin. And more importantly, any survival tin. You don't have to use BCB, but survival tins are really handy in your pack at any point whenever you're venturing out into a wilderness survival situation. I just go with BCB because they're a company that I grew up with. So yeah, let's carry on. Let's have a look around. I will try and use some of the contents of this kit to show you how the best you can use it. But of course, I don't really want to, because it's my mountain, my personal survival tin. But we'll try and get hold of another tin and show that. I did post some pictures of the tin, and I had a discussion, and I haven't got the multi-tool that people asked for me to review. I will try and get one after Christmas. I had one years ago and I just don't know where I put it. I know I've got one somewhere. If I find it, I'll kind of do the review on it. I know BCB do a multi-tool, and it was one of the questions. So yeah, that's the survival tin contents, and in this video, all of a sudden, wow, we're looking pretty good. Well guys, thanks for joining me on this part 1 really series of my no BS survival guide, if you like, and equipment that we can take with us to improve our survival situations that we may find ourselves in. You can see this woodland and the mountain. I'm on top of a mountain at the minute, and the fog and the mist is coming in. It's really bad up here. It has lifted and then it comes back down, and it's lifting and coming back down. It'll be getting dark soon. Time to head off the mountain, if you like. This equipment that I show you is available pretty well much to everyone. A survival situation we can often avoid by taking the right necessary steps, checking weather reports. They're very in-depth these days. Carrying the right content of our backpacks. So all of a sudden, if we find ourselves where we've got to spend the night up in the mountain, we're actually fine. We've got that survival tin. We've got spare food. We've got spare clothing. My bag doesn't weigh no more than what probably the average hiker's bag weighs, but I'm carrying equipment that's multi-uses. I'm actually going to challenge some of the old survival books on some of these series of videos, and a lot of people will go, why would you want to do that? Because times have moved on, equipment's moved on, and people have moved on, if you like. The things of the human race, we look for a few things that we must have: shelter, food, water, medical. A lot of people now rely on medication, so putting extra tablets in your bag, an extra couple of days worth to take with you on a hike, is probably a good idea. Companionship, how we miss people, and do we miss people? It's a big flaw. If you ever watch the Alone series, most of them people end up bugging out because they miss that companionship with other people. You got to be able to enjoy what you're doing, enjoy who you are, like yourself, if you like, especially in these situations. Guys, thanks so much for joining me on this video, and we've looked at one of the greatest companies, BCB, and some of their survival tins and their equipment that they used. And like I say, it doesn't take up no room in my pack, and it surely is a good companion to have with you on these trips out into the wilderness. But just remember, whenever you're going to go out, always let someone know where you're going. Have times and points, maps. Don't just rely on your phone. Go back to old school map reading. That always helps. A paper map can really make a big difference up here. We rely on technology like our phones too much. Our basic skill sets of people that want to go out hiking will often pick up a map, especially from a state park, and really have no understanding of how to read it. You'd be better off with a really good breakdown map, marking trails, paths. Learn the areas that you're going in, the wildlife, the plants. All this, before we even get to where we want to go, is worth looking at. Because if you find yourself stuck up the mountain, well, it may have just been worth that kind of half a day researching the area and looking into it. So once again, thanks for joining me. I'm Fog, and I'm showing you, and I will be teaching you, some of the most modernist survival techniques are pretty well much on the planet. Wow. There is one thing, when you're alone up in the woods or up on a mountain range, it is just beautiful. Enjoy your day, and remember, go hiking and enjoy it. Don't be scared of watching videos like this. I'm giving you worst case scenario, if you like. So yeah, still enjoy it. Relax and chill out, because you may think you're in a survival situation, but you're really not. You've got the right equipment. You can get out of it quite easily. Thanks very much for joining me on this, really, part 1 of my survival guide. The no BS survival guide. Speak to you on the next one.